How's it going, everyone? It is your boy 11, and it is time for another episode of the Quarantine Cast. Hopefully, everybody has been, patient and just bearing with me. I know it's been quite a bit since we posted one. I think the reason being is just because I recorded one with the best friend, Eric Eccentric. You guys know he's my best friend, but it's taking some time to edit. I want to get it just right, so I thought, you know what, I might as well just come through on one of my own. There has been a couple things that had just been on my mind recently, and one of those things, just to get right into it, one of those things has been something that I've been kind of thinking about for quite a long time, and that is, what is my favorite video game of all time? I get this asked pretty constantly on streams and just regularly. People, so it's a subject of conversation with people that you meet that are into gaming. People, it's a pretty easy conversation to have with somebody new that's also into gaming. And recently I've been saying that my favorite video game of all time is Final Fantasy VII Remake. And for a while, for the longest time actually, I've said that my favorite video game of all time was Super Mario World. And the reason being is because Super Mario World was one of the first video games that I've ever played, besides obviously the original Super Mario. And the reason why I used to say that Super Mario World was my favorite video game of all time was because when I first played it, I remember living in Mexico, where I grew up and where I was born, and having many experiences just playing that game multiplayer with my big sister. And those were some of the moments that I would cherish the most, where it was just the middle of the day. We would just hang out inside. My dad had just brought home this SNES that he had bought, and he got it with us for just the reason, for just to kind of hang out with each other. And even till this day, whenever I would bring my Switch to my sister's house, or whenever we would meet up at my parents' house and we would just, I would bring my Switch or something, sometimes we just play Super Mario World, and it just feels like the old times. And it's crazy because, she's not a gamer by any means. She doesn't really play games at all, but it's crazy to me because she still remembers like all the little secrets, all the secret levels, how to access the secret routes, how to get to Star World, and how to beat certain levels, and how to find the secret exits and everything. And it just still amazes me that she still remembers that, regardless of how I know that she doesn't play it like on her free time. I'm pretty sure that the last time she played it was the last time that I brought it to her house, or the last time I brought it to my parents' house. And it's so nostalgic to me, that Super Mario World. And it's a game that every couple of months I return to, and I play and I beat, and I enjoy playing it with other people, and I played it with other people on my streams. And it's crazy to me because Super Mario World is something that just comes second nature to me. It's a game that I just flash right through. I've memorized the game for like the back of my hand, and it's just one of those things that I've beaten so many times that it's funny to watch other people play it who aren't so familiar with it as much as I am. And I'm pretty sure that whenever somebody else watches somebody else play their favorite game, it could be frustrating, it could be kind of funny, it could be infuriating. I remember one time I played Skyrim on stream, and I had a couple people who have played Skyrim countless times, or just spent a lot of time playing Skyrim, and they were so infuriated with me that I didn't know what to do. which is a common theme with my streams, is that sometimes I play games that people grew up playing, and one of the biggest examples is actually Minecraft. I didn't grow up playing Minecraft. I watched my little sister, she grew up playing Minecraft. I watched her and a family friend play Minecraft all the time, but it was just one of those games that I never really got into myself. I would play it every once in a while creatively, and that's what I would have fun with, just building houses, building crazy structures, but not really playing the game survival how it's intentionally meant to be played, I guess. And people are kind of rude, I guess, whenever they watch me play Minecraft on stream. And to me, obviously I don't take it too seriously, but it's funny how some people do take it seriously. Like, how do you not know how to play this game? Well, it's because I didn't grow up playing playing it. While at the same time I understand that there are people that grew up with me around the same age as me that didn't grow up playing Super Mario World. Maybe they grew up playing Legend of Zelda. Maybe they grew up playing Street Fighter 2 or something like that. You know, it just depends on what type of gamer you are. And me being so in love with Super Mario World really did influence my video game preferences growing up. I still think that 3D platforming and just platforming games in general is probably my favorite genre of video games, if I have to be completely honest with you, alongside obviously fighting games and RPGs, which are just the games that I grew up playing. But moving past that, the reason why I say Final Fantasy VII Remake is my favorite game of all time now is because of just what happened when I played that game. What was going on around the time that I played the game. And there's this fantastic quote that, you know, it comes from the angry video game nerd himself, James Rolfe, where he says, "Your favorite game of all time doesn't pick it picks you. You don't pick it, you know. It just so happens that your favorite game of all time comes to you whenever, you know, it might be the most important." And what I mean by that is when I played Final Fantasy VII Remake when it came out, it was in the height of the pandemic. Obviously, we're still on the height of the pandemic. It was in the height of the pandemic. I was having a conversation with my best friend Eric Eccentric, and we were just debating like, hey, maybe we should split the game. Maybe we should just play the game and, you know, get it together, pitch in half and half. We'll half and half it so that we don't have to pay full price for it. And that's what we did. And I'm pretty sure we started it around the same time. And immediately I fell in love with it, right? I fell in love with it and I played it. And it was only made better because it was one of those games that my wife, watching me play it, got into it. And my wife is not an avid gamer. She plays mobile games every once in a while here and there. But I really enjoy playing games that my wife is also into. You know, she doesn't necessarily play them with me, but she watches me play it. She watches it for the story. She watches it for, you know, the narrative and stuff like that. So whenever I have my wife engaged there with me, kind of following along and just being entranced with it like I am, it means a whole lot more. So I started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I got about halfway through and I kind of stopped. And the reason why I stopped halfway through was not because I wanted to take a break from the game at all. I was, like I said, it was really awesome. It was one of the games that I wanted to beat. The first game that I wanted to beat in a really long time. I've bought and I have a lot of games at my disposal, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I buy a lot of games and I beat them all, right? I come back to games every once in a while, but it takes a lot for a game nowadays for me to actually want to be like, hey, I actually just want to sit down and just play this game over and over. And I got about halfway through, and then COVID was going on, and a bunch of my family members got COVID. My father-in-law got COVID. I got COVID myself. My little sister got COVID. My dad got COVID. My aunt got COVID. And one of the biggest reasons why I stopped was because I got COVID myself, and it was just one of the worst things that I've ever been through. Definitely the worst sickness that I've ever been through. You know, just super in pain the whole time, headaches, on the verge of fever every day, just being honestly bedridden, and it completely sucked, and just being out of breath and whatnot. And one thing that really changed me and, you know, kind of made me take a whole different perspective in a lot of things and a lot of the things that I do in life nowadays, is that my mom actually got COVID. And to say that was one of the most traumatic experiences that I've ever been through is an understatement. My mom is my world, right? I love my mom. She is, I don't know, she's the rock of my family. She is just, like I said, my world, and I love her to death, obviously. And she initially, when my little sister got COVID, she was really, really scared. Obviously, right when the pandemic hit, when it was starting to pick up, she was really nervous, and she was just kind of scared about it. And as soon as it kind of started to affect our family, immediately she was filled with panic. And my mom's the type of person that tries to keep things cool, collected. She bottles up a lot of things, and that's kind of how I do things too. I like to be the rock in my marriage, and just bottle things up, move on, just try to work things out, and just deal with it later. Internalize it, deal with it internally, not externally, right? And that's the way that my mom is. She tries to do a whole lot for my family. She does do a whole lot for my family, and she just bottles things up, and it affects her, and that's just the way that I am too, and I get it from her. And my mom did this. She was very, very scared, and it was noticeable, and eventually she got COVID herself. And at first it started off normal, how it hits a lot of people, shortness of breath, just being really feeling weak and whatnot. But then eventually and rapidly it escalated really, really bad, to the point where our local hospital was just over capacity, and they had to fly her out to another hospital that's 2 hours away. And you got to keep in mind that this isn't the height of the pandemic where none of your family members are allowed in the hospital. You go to the hospital, you're going there by yourself. And just knowing that my mom was 2 hours away, just knowing that my mom was, for about a month, was getting really, really bad. Her situation was getting really, really bad, and it was not de-escalating, was really fucking scary. And that's an understatement. It was really fucking scary. And around the time that she left, that she was taken to the hospital, I was going through a lot. I was trying to recover myself from this sickness, from COVID. And I was also in the middle of trying to get a job, right? Trying to get a job, which is where I'm currently employed. And it was very bittersweet, because I was really happy that I was recovering. I was happy that I was going to get this job, but it sucked because I couldn't tell my mom how excited I was, right? I couldn't tell my mom how excited I was. Obviously, my dad was here, and I told him, but I knew that he was just so straight up just sad that he had his partner, that he didn't have his partner with him, right? My mom. And he was excited for me. He was happy for me, of course. But obviously, we all knew that, we were still really down about my mom. And I remember my mom was still in the hospital when I recovered, and I was finally able to come back to my bedroom with my wife, and I started playing Final Fantasy VII again. And when I finished Final Fantasy VII, I know it might sound cheesy, but it just really solidified it, right? It just really solidified that I needed that game. I needed that experience. Because it was one of the very few things that really, really took me out of just the depressing shit that was going on in my life. And just talking about it just kind of gives me goosebumps, and just makes me emotional, to become frankly, because I don't really get to talk about it like that. And it's just something that really does mean a lot, right? Well, obviously Super Mario World, the experience that I've had with it, and just everything, it really still does mean a lot. And I say that they're both first in my list, because they both mean very different things for me. But yeah, I think Final Fantasy VII Remake just came to me at the perfect time, because I was going through it, man. I was going through it like hella crazy, and it just took me away from the situation that I was going through. And at the time, my anxiety was at an all-time fucking high. Obviously, when I was bedridden and stuff, I didn't have to. I was just too fucking weak to even realize maybe I was going through some anxiety. Of course I was, but once I started feeling better, and I was starting to process things normally, my anxiety and just everything, knowing that my mom was like not with us right now, it just fucking hit me hard. And my anxiety, I was having constant anxiety attacks, and it was just super bad. And luckily my mom made a really speedy recovery. Her just health did a 180, and even the doctors, I remember my mom talking about it, and she says that the doctors were just really surprised at the rate that she started recovering. And it was because of how many people were praying for her and how many people were sending well wishes to her. I remember my big sister made a group chat of a bunch of people from my family that, where we would keep them updated. And it just really put me in awe about just how many people my mom has impacted. And I know that she doesn't think about it that way, but she has impacted so many lives, and she probably didn't know it. And I remember just sending her voice messages throughout this whole thing, throughout the 2 months that she was away. And just when she got home, she would read she was reading the messages. When she regained consciousness, she would read the messages, and I think that is what really improved her health and just boosted her morale. And yeah, man, I don't know, it's just hard to talk about. It's kind of hard to talk about because it was really something so I really think it was really traumatic. And it's crazy to me because that just happened last year. We're in 2021. That happened last year. This whole fucking COVID shit, quarantine, everything that just had happened. It's crazy to think that it has been a year, barely a year, that all this shit has happened in my life. It has literally felt like ages. And but hopefully, we're on a better path. I know that things are opening up and the mask mandate is going down. I'm still wearing a mask. God damn it. I'd be damned if I stop wearing a mask in stores. I'm scared about this shit. But yeah, man, Final Fantasy VII Remake is my favorite game of all time, and I really hope that it's solidified, set in stone when part 2 comes out. Because keep in mind, this is only part 1. We've only explored Midgar. It's time to explore the world in part 2. Hopefully, whenever that comes out in 2025 or whatever. I really hope it doesn't take that long because I really want to, have that second part to my favorite game of all time. And moving right along, I know that was kind of deep, and I really do hope that anybody that was affected or is currently affected by COVID is doing okay. If any of your family members are going through it, keep them in good spirit. Send them well wishes. Never keep them out of your thoughts. Send them that boost of morale. One of the biggest things is that, if they have a cell phone, if you have any way of contacting them, text them, send them voice messages, let them know that you're thinking of them. Do what you got to do to remind them that you're there for them. And if you're going through it, I really do hope that your health improves, and I really do hope that you get better, because I don't wish that on anybody. Trust me, I really don't. Especially to the degree that my mom went through it and some other people have been gone through it. It's not okay. And one of the most heartbreaking things that I've ever seen in my life, and I've been on the internet, I've seen some fucked up shit, but one of the most traumatic and one of the most heartbreaking things that I've ever seen in my life is we had the privilege of the nurses allowing us to have Zoom meetings or Zoom calls to see our mom, my mom. And it was me, my wife, my sisters, my big sister, my dad, and my little sister, and sometimes my aunt. And I remember that first Zoom call that we had to see my mom, and we saw her with all those machines, all those tubes, all those things attached to her, and just her unconscious was really heartbreaking. It really, really was. And it was something that really fucked me up, and that is what really triggered my anxiety, knowing that my mom was there, sort of alone. Obviously the nurse isn't there, but I mean, like, in terms of nobody, in terms of family, was there to be there for her. And luckily, like I said, we had amazing nurses, we had amazing doctors working with her, nurses that took care of her, made sure that she was fine, doctors that would update us. I remember my sister would call like pretty much every day to see on her condition, and they would tell her exactly how she was doing. And yeah, shouts out to the frontline workers, shouts out to every single nurse and doctor and everybody working through the pandemic, and even still now working through this fucking pandemic. And you guys are the real fucking heroes. Now, moving on to hopefully that's something a little bit more light and something that also has been a lot on my mind, and something that I've been kind of wanting to talk about, and maybe I have talked about it in some degree or some sort of form of video or whatever, I do want to say that recently I've been kind of feeling a lot better about my streams. I've been feeling a lot better about just myself when it comes to putting some sort of content out on the internet. And I just need to do it. One of the biggest things for me is just doing it with more frequency. Obviously that means putting out more videos on YouTube, sort of planning out my streams and making some sort of content and making it more engaging rather than me just playing video games for about 3.5 hours to 4 hours at a time. But one of the things that I do want to sort of like talk about is burnout, right? Burnout and, numbers and comparing yourself to others. And it reminds me of almost a year ago when I started streaming. One of my biggest downfalls and one of the things that could have led me to just completely stop doing what I was doing right there and then, like a couple months into it, was that I was very quick to try to compare myself to other people, compare myself to people around the similar size as me who are growing maybe a bit faster, more getting more views and whatnot on YouTube and stuff like that. And also just kind of like thinking really, really being hyper focused on numbers and thinking that everything that I did regards to gaming or in regards to anything, I had to make it some sort of content. And if you are in that mentality, right? Some people think, oh, well, that's grinding. You're in grind mode. That's all you care about. And maybe, right? Maybe, really, honestly, maybe. But to me, that's the biggest downfall. That could lead to your biggest demise, right? It's gonna lead to you being so burnt out to the point where you're even contemplating if doing what you're doing is even worth it, right? Because if you're so hyper fixated on numbers, or maybe you're not achieving a certain thing that you want to achieve, it's going to really start to bum you out, and it's really going to start turning you off to the idea of continuing to make content on the internet. And to me, that's kind of how it was in the beginning, right? I was like, well, I just came back to YouTube, I put out a video, why isn't it getting this amount of views? And in that respect, it was really stupid. I mean, to kind of expect any sort of views coming back to YouTube after almost a 4-year hiatus of not posting any sort of content. I shouldn't have expected anybody to come through and watch my stupid videos or in regards to streaming, or just come through and watch anything that I would have done in regards to streaming. But it's just sort of led me to this point of like, man, like I'm not growing at the speed that I want to grow, or I'm not getting views that I want to get. But eventually, once you start getting into the rhythm of it, once you start figuring out the type of streamer that you want to be, the type of content creator that you want to be, you just start getting into your own rhythm. You start caring more about, okay, well, I do have an audience, I do have people watching me, I do have certain people who enjoy my content. Let's just try to make more content for myself. And obviously it's working out because these people are liking my streams, they're liking the videos that I'm putting out. Let's just keep doing more of that, and obviously expand on that to whatever degree I want to do it on. But let's just expand on it. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And that's exactly where I'm at right now. I am super grateful to have the sort of audience that I have, that I just come through and I kind of have an idea of what I want to do on streams and stuff, and I just do it, and they're just there for the ride, right? I think that most of the time they're there for me, right? I'm not the world's best gamer, I'm not the most experienced gamer, and my audience could definitely tell you that, but I feel like they're just kind of there for me, and they're also there because they have friends there, right? It's the chat, right? The chat has built a friendship within itself, and it's not just about me anymore. And I'm glad that it's not just about me. It kind of takes away some of that pressure, honestly. You're the streamer, right? You're there, they're there for you most of the time, but at the same time, they're there to interact with their friends. It's another place for them to interact and come together and just hang out with people, right? Your chat is just the hub of it, right? Essentially, that's just what it is. And to some people, it might seem a little disappointing. I've gone to streamers and I've heard from streamers where, well, some people, they're bummed out that their chat is not just about them, right? And to me, it's just like, well, I wouldn't really want it to be just about me, right? I wouldn't just want people to super analyze everything that I'm doing. If anything, I'm grateful that at times, the chat is just kind of doing its own thing, that it's active, that it's just, there people are just vibing, talking to one another, and people are, I'm still constantly getting questions. I have people who are commenting on my gameplay, talking about the game that I'm playing and whatnot, but the chat is just kind of doing its own thing, and that's just how it should be, right? And you should be grateful for that. Honestly, you should be grateful that people are there hanging out, vibing out, whether it be with you and your friends and their friends, and it's just awesome, right? That's what it's all about. And I feel like people should really take into account that, hey, I have this fan base. If more people want to come through and join us, then that's fucking awesome, right? And once you get into that mentality, once you get into that groove and stuff, then you become way more comfortable, and that's where I'm at, and I feel super happy about it. Because I feel like if I would have still been on YouTube, I would have sort of been kind of like holding myself back to some of these things. And a lot of people might be thinking, well, how is Twitch way more liberating? How is it so eye-opening to you? Well, I don't know what it was. It was just kind of like a fresh, like, sort of new thing to me, and it just feels exciting to still be here. And one of the biggest motivators actually is that we hit affiliate within a week, and that to me is one of the biggest goals that I've kind of done, one of the biggest things that I've done in a year. And I wouldn't have done that without having that transition from YouTube, and just having that audience from YouTube to carry over to Twitch. I told people that what I was doing, I told people what I was planning, and they were there to support your boy. I was streaming for about a week straight without missing a day, streaming for the same amount of time that I would normally stream, sometimes a little bit less, but regardless, I would still come through. And to me, that's just setting a goal for myself. It's always important to still have goals for yourself and to remind yourself why you're even doing this. I feel like, yes, you could get comfortable for a bit. You could kind of like start to find a rhythm for yourself and start to like just, build yourself up. But at the same time, it's important to have goals. And for a bit there, I feel like I was goal-less, right? I felt like I was getting comfortable. I wasn't really doing a whole lot. I was just doing like kind of vibing, and to me, I'm all about sometimes just wanting to change things up, moving on to something different. And that to me was Twitch. That to me was that leap to Twitch. And the fact that I was able to hit affiliate and just have that, achieve that in a week's time really, really did boost my morale, and really did boost my morale of, you could fucking do this, dude. You got this shit. You just keep doing what you're doing and just fucking run with it. And that's exactly what I want to keep on doing. And I feel like even though I achieved that, if I was to just have to wait a little longer for that, it would have been okay. And you need to remind yourself that. Don't do it for a number. Don't do it for a title. It's important to set yourself goals and to remind yourself, hey, I want to achieve this in a certain amount of time. But if you don't, right, it's okay. It might be a little bit of a bummer, but just keep on fucking doing it. Grind, do it, hit harder, dude. Keep doing what you're doing. You're still going to be building yourself up. You're still going to be gaining something from it, right? You're gaining that experience. You're gaining that people are seeing that you're consistent with it. People are learning about you. People are learning about it, especially if you're transferring over to a new platform. Right, especially if you're making such a big leap from one platform to another. It's going to take time for people to find your stuff. It's going to take a little bit of time for people to get to know who you are and, try to figure out if they want to stick around or not, right? And you just need to stick with it. And if you really want to do this, then you gotta keep it up, right? You gotta keep it up. And I'm so fortunate to have the community that I have, the fan base that I have, that allows me to, that is really understanding when I need to take breaks, when I don't feel good, that I need to take a day off, that I just need to, have some time for myself. And I'm super grateful for that. And for that, I'm, obviously never going to be, I cannot thank people enough. And you can fucking do this, dude. If I can do it, I don't think I'm the most entertaining person. I just, I don't feel like I'm the most charismatic person either. But if I could fucking do it, you could definitely do it too. Just keep on doing it, man. Just keep on fucking doing it. I've been doing this for a year. I know I'm not the most experienced person by any means. I know there's people out there who will give you any sort of, like, really, there's tons and tons of videos on how to do things, how to run your streams and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, do what you want to fucking do, and people will come and they will understand the type of content that you make, and if they like it, they'll stick around, and if they don't, they don't, and that's okay. Not everybody, you don't have to have every single person that likes, you don't have to have every, you don't have to appease to every single person on Twitch or YouTube or whatever platform you're on. As long as you know that what you're doing is really what makes you happy, and as long as you know that the type of stuff that you're putting out there makes you happy, then that's all that fucking matters. And if people like it, great. And like I said, if people don't, then that's okay too, right? And another thing that I do want to mention is that not everything that you do, and another thing that it really kind of affected me was that for a while, if I was playing a video game, if I was doing anything, I wanted to make it some sort of content. And that relates a lot to Burnout, because you are depriving yourself from what was once a pastime, what was once something that you did to kind of escape and, you know, get away from reality. For instance, video games or watching videos or something like that. You are turning it to something that you're kind of forcing yourself to make some sort of content out of it, right? And for me, that was what I was doing for a while. If I was playing a video game, I was like, why would I play this video game if I'm not streaming it? Why am I going to play this video game if I'm not making some sort of video out of it, right? And it's good to be inspired, right? It's good to be inspired in the spot, and, you know, kind of want to get this idea and make a video or something like that. I'm not saying that that's a problem, but understand that not everything needs to be content, right? Not everything you do in your life has to be related to some sort of content. It's okay to grab the controller, turn on your Switch, your PlayStation, your Xbox, your PC or whatever, and just play games with your friends and just have fun like it used to be, and just still have that escape, right? And that's still something that I need to do better, right? I'd be lying if I said that I don't do that still to this day. But I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at just sitting down, playing Smash Brothers by myself and just grinding out Elite Smash, playing an RPG, playing a rhythm game, watching videos, doing what I do on my own time without having to turn on Streamlabs, without having to turn on plug in the microphone, turn on my webcam and do shit like that to make a content. You gotta set aside some time for yourself so that you could have that free time to yourself and enjoy what was once just a pastime, not just your fucking job or content, right? Remember what makes you happy and keep it that way, because otherwise you're going to lead yourself to burnout. It's going to kind of make you despise what was once the thing that you really love to do on your free time, right? And you got to just remind yourself, hey, there's a time and place for everything, right? Not everything has to be attached to some sort of internet. It doesn't have to be so that I could gain from anything. It's just for your own enjoyment. What you gain is that enjoyment and that happiness, knowing that, hey, I beat that fucking level, right? I beat that, I beat that stage, I beat that dungeon, I watched this video, I watched the movie, right? And I could talk about it if I want to the viewers, the chat or whatever, but not everything has to be content, and that's okay. That's fine. You'll be so much more grateful that you just did things for your own self, right? Not just because of the internet. But yeah, guys, that's all I really wanted to talk about. I do want to keep it a little bit short. The next quarantine cast, however, is going to be a little bit more exciting, a little bit more spooky, because for a while I've been kind of hyping it up, but it's just something that does take me a little bit to edit, because we're talking about creepypastas with none other than your boy Eric Eccentric. And it's just something that I've been kind of putting aside simply because I fucking hate creepypastas. I hate, reliving some of these fucking dumb theories or just dumb creepypastas that would scare me, and even still this day kind of creep me out, just looking at certain images that bring back old memories that I just hate reliving. But it's just something that I really want to do and need to get done, and I promise that it would probably be out by the next week. I just need to set aside some time. Life has been busy with work and just streaming. I've been really setting aside a goal for myself to just kind of build up the Twitch channel and just grow it out a little bit, perfect it, doing I've been kind of really into this whole VTubing stuff. I've been trying to search out artists and setting aside some money so that I could have a better model, and just doing all these things so that I could just reach out, meet new people. And I do want to say that if you're a content creator of any size, I don't really care. If you are down to make any sort of content, reach out to me, dude. Join the Discord server. My DMs are completely open. If you want to, comment on the video, do what you gotta do. Just reach out, man. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just collab with people, meet new people, make content with people, dude. I love doing that type of shit. I love meeting new people. And that's another thing. It's like, I'm just trying to do that. I'm trying to get acquainted with more people. I feel like for a while there, I've been kind of stuck within my own bubble, and I have no problem just collaborating with my best friend Eric Eccentric. It's my favorite type of content to make, to be completely honest with you, because I'm playing a game with my best friend, or I'm just shooting the shit with my best friend and stuff, and but I do want to get acquainted with other content creators. I've been watching more streams. For a while there, I was not watching streams at all, even though I am a streamer. I've been kind of popping into people's chat, donating, and just subscribing, being super supportive, because I do appreciate it, man. I do appreciate the time that people take out of their day to provide that sort of entertainment for others, and just do what they do to make people happy, and just do provide some sort of entertainment. And that's, for a while there, I kind of didn't understand what I did for people, but seeing other people do it, it's besides myself, I am starting to kind of understand, and it really does mean a lot. It really does mean a lot. Not only that, but I do take inspiration by some of the things that they do, and it only makes me want to get better at streaming, and have the viewing experience be better than what I used to have, and not make it an afterthought, not make it messy, but also make it something enjoyable to see and be a part of. But other than that, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. Please, if you guys haven't, if you guys have been wondering where the streams are still, I know I made a whole video talking about it, but if you guys still aren't aware, I do stream on Twitch now. If you guys want to check me out, links down below in the description. And also, if you want to reach out to me, join the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, do what you gotta do. I'm way more active on Twitter, trying to interact with people, get acquainted, just post memes, and do every once in a while the motivational quote or whatever. But thank you guys so much for coming through. I really do hope everybody's doing well. I got mad love for you guys. Please take care, wear a mask, stay safe, and like I always say, bye.